For decades, people have repeated the same advice. Renting is throwing money away. Buying a home is always better. Real estate is the best investment you can make. And because we've heard these statements so often, many people simply accept them as facts. But are they actually true? What if buying a home isn't always the smartest financial decision? What if renting can sometimes create more wealth? And what if the real answer is far more complicated than most people realize? The truth is that buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. And unlike buying a car or choosing an investment, the consequences can follow you for decades. That's why this decision deserves more than a catchy slogan. It deserves careful analysis. In this episode, we're going to break down the numbers, the myths, the hidden costs, and the factors that truly determine whether renting or buying makes sense for you. Because the best housing decision isn't the one society tells you to make. It's the one that aligns with your goals, finances, and future plans. Few financial topics create more debate than renting versus buying. And that's because housing isn't just a financial decision. It's emotional, it's personal, it's tied to security, identity, family, freedom, and lifestyle. This is why the conversation often becomes oversimplified. People want a simple answer. Rent or buy? Which is better? But that's the wrong question. The right question is, which option is better for your specific situation? Because housing decisions are highly individual, and what works for one person may be completely wrong for another. Let's start with the argument most people already know. Buying a home offers several potential advantages. First, ownership. You control the property. You can renovate, customize, improve, and create a space that's truly your own. Second, stability. With a fixed-rate mortgage, housing costs may become more predictable over time. Rent can increase. A fixed mortgage payment often remains relatively stable. Third, equity. Every mortgage payment may increase your ownership stake in the property. Over time, you gradually own more and owe less. And finally, appreciation. Historically, many properties have increased in value over long periods. This means homeowners may benefit from both equity growth and market appreciation. These are real advantages, and for many people, they make homeownership extremely appealing. But that's only one side of the story. The hidden costs of buying. One of the biggest mistakes people make is comparing rent directly to a mortgage payment. Because a mortgage payment isn't the true cost of ownership. It's only the beginning. Homeownership comes with many additional expenses: property taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, HOA fees, landscaping, unexpected emergencies, roof replacements, plumbing issues, HVAC repairs. The list goes on. And unlike renters, homeowners are responsible for these costs. A water heater fails? You pay. A roof leaks? You pay. The furnace breaks? You pay. These expenses can be significant, and many first-time buyers underestimate them. Another hidden factor is transaction costs. Buying and selling property isn't free. There are closing costs, legal fees, inspections, loan origination fees, agent commissions, moving expenses, and other costs that quickly add up. This means buying usually makes more sense when you plan to stay for a long period, because the longer you remain in the property, the more time you have to spread those costs across many years. If you're moving every few years, those transaction costs can become extremely expensive, which is why buying isn't always ideal for people with uncertain plans. The case for renting. Now let's look at renting. Despite its bad reputation, renting offers several advantages. First, flexibility. Renters can often relocate more easily. This can be valuable for career opportunities, lifestyle changes, family situations, or simply wanting a different environment. Second, predictability. Many maintenance costs become the landlord's responsibility. The renter avoids large repair expenses. Third, lower upfront costs. Buying often requires a significant down payment. Renting usually requires far less capital upfront. And this leads us to one of the most overlooked concepts in personal finance: opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the value of what you give up when choosing one option over another. Let's imagine two people. One buys a home and puts a large down payment into the property. The other rents and invests that same money. Now both individuals are building wealth, just in different ways. The homeowner builds equity, the renter builds investments, And depending on market conditions, investment returns, housing appreciation, and time horizons, either outcome could potentially be better. This is why renting isn't automatically throwing money away, because money invested elsewhere can also create wealth. The real comparison isn't rent versus mortgage, it's total housing costs versus alternative uses of capital. Why buying isn't always an investment. This idea surprises many people, but your primary residence isn't always an investment in the traditional sense. Why? Because homes consume money. Maintenance, taxes, insurance, repairs, utilities, and unlike stocks or businesses, a home doesn't typically generate income while you're living in it. Now, that doesn't mean buying is bad. Far from it. It simply means we should be honest about what a home is. Part investment, part consumption, part lifestyle decision. And understanding that distinction helps you make better choices. One of the biggest factors in the rent versus buy decision is time. How long do you plan to stay? If you're likely to move within a few years, renting may often be the better option. The transaction costs of buying and selling can overwhelm the benefits of ownership. But if you're planning to stay for 10 years, 15 years, or longer, buying often becomes more attractive because time allows appreciation and equity growth to work in your favor. This is why there is no universal answer. Time changes the equation. Here's something many financial analyses ignore. Lifestyle matters. Not everything can be reduced to spreadsheets. Some people value flexibility, others value permanence. Some want the freedom to relocate, others want a place they can truly call home. Some enjoy maintaining a property, others prefer letting a landlord handle repairs. These preferences matter because personal finance isn't about maximizing every dollar, it's about maximizing quality of life. And sometimes, the financially optimal choice isn't the choice that makes you happiest. That's okay. Money should support your life, not control it. Let's talk about a few mistakes people often make. Buying too much house, stretching finances to the absolute limit, ignoring maintenance costs, assuming appreciation is guaranteed, underestimating transaction expenses, and purchasing primarily because of social pressure. A house is too important a decision to make because everyone else is doing it. The numbers need to work, the timing needs to work, and the decision needs to fit your goals. When buying makes sense, buying often makes sense when you plan to stay long-term, you have stable finances, you have an adequate emergency fund, you can comfortably afford ownership costs, and you value the benefits of stability and control. When those conditions exist, homeownership can be a powerful wealth-building tool. Renting often makes sense when you need flexibility. You expect major life changes. You haven't built sufficient savings yet. Housing prices are extremely high relative to rents. Or you simply prefer the lifestyle renting provides. There's nothing financially irresponsible about renting. Just as there's nothing automatically wise about buying. Both can be excellent choices under the right circumstances. At the end of the day, the rent versus buy debate isn't really about housing. It's about alignment. Does this decision align with your goals, your finances, your lifestyle, your future plans? Because the best financial decisions are rarely universal. They're personal. And once you understand that, the conversation becomes much clearer. For years, people have argued about whether renting or buying is better. But the truth is, neither option wins every time. Buying offers stability, control, equity, and potential appreciation. Renting offers flexibility, lower responsibility, and alternative investment opportunities. The smartest choice depends on your situation, your timeline, your finances, and your priorities. So don't let slogans make the decision for you. Run the numbers, consider the trade-offs, think long-term, and choose the option that best supports the life you're trying to build. Because financial freedom isn't about blindly following conventional wisdom. It's about understanding your options and making intentional decisions. And that's exactly what this entire series has been about. From understanding net worth and debt to budgeting, saving, investing, major purchases, and housing decisions, you've now built a complete framework for making smarter financial decisions. The next step is simple. Take action, because knowledge alone doesn't create wealth. Consistent action does.